So, now I get to the point, I have to do this every year, where I have to explain this year's latest Microsoft branding. I'd love to invite Klaus up to do this. He would be equally as enthused about it. Every year, Microsoft, a lot of marketing people, they have to come up with new branding messages. Life depends on it. So, many years ago, some of you will know, Microsoft had a little baby. They were making a thing called CRM. And over somewhere else in the world, there were a bunch of Vikings in Denmark, and there were some people in the plains of America that had systems. So it was Damgod Exapter, Navision, as we wonderfully called it, and Dynamics Great Plains. And Microsoft bought Great Plains. Some of us in the nav world were stunned by this. How are we ever going to compete with that? Navision merged with Exapter. They were both in ERP companies in Denmark, a few miles away from each other, exchanged staff now and again. They got married. They stuck Navision and Damgod together. What a lovely name of a company. But eventually, Microsoft bought the combined thing, and we were all happy with the world. But it was a little bit crowded. And CRM just become part of that family. Okay, so still called Microsoft CRM. But then they had to do something to say, I need to call all my children the same thing so everybody will know they're all part of the same family. And we got this Microsoft Dynamics brand name. Now, we still have people saying, oh yes, I've got Microsoft Dynamics, as if it's a thing, okay? But obviously, beneath the brand, there are products, okay? But that's what, frankly, that's what Microsoft wanted. They wanted exactly that. People to talk about the brand, not the individual product. And as the world moves inexorably towards the cloud, a new brand appeared. We talked a little bit about it last year, Microsoft Dynamics 365. And as the world has moved, really the same thing exists with the same children, but they've now got different t-shirts, rather like mine have people. And they're all called Microsoft Dynamics 365, okay? So, might notice, very similar to before, with different badges, okay? And if I have to make one statement about Microsoft Dynamics 365, when you say, what is it? Pretty much what we had before, but with a different badge, okay? Now, I say that because even before we had Nav in the cloud, we had other products in the cloud. That's not a new thing. Putting Nav in the cloud isn't a new thing. There is a new part of that. There's a new cloud option, which is where your Nav system is looked after by Microsoft, where you bought it online by Microsoft, but funded. It's exactly the same software. It's the same mechanisms that we have today. It's just a different badge. And we have that. And every now and again, some other little babies will come out. There will be a Microsoft marketing, customer service, field service, thing called talent. Other little babies will come along and join that band. Okay. So that's how the history moved forward. It's not a new thing that we've got this situation. This is a slide that sort of tries to make a point about when we look at the broader term of Dynamics 365. Firstly, Microsoft used the word app for everything from a little thing you installed, which cost you 50p, to an entire ERP retail system. Okay, they used the word app. Basically, they took the location off of it, okay, and they refer to it as an app. So that's an important thing. When they talk about an app, don't think it's just a little thing. An entire nav retail system is what they call the retail app. Okay? But there are Dynamics 365, marketing, sales, service, are the things that were previously CRM. Marketing is actually a new thing. We'll talk about it. Sri will talk about that in this afternoon's session. There's a service module. There's the thing that was formerly known as AX, Finance and Operations, and there's a thing called Microsoft Talent, okay? So the way that Microsoft look at that is if you are an organization, and usually a larger organization, who wants to buy separate systems, so you want a system for finance, but you want a separate system for CRM, you want a separate system for engineering, those large enterprises, that makes sense. But in the nav world, that top band, the normal, let's call them SMEs, want to buy a system with everything in it. Frankly, I've been selling nav now for 20 odd years, and that has been our story forever. You buy nav, it runs everything. You look at SCS, 1,000 users, everything from salespeople to distribution to finance is all in that one box. So that top line is basically saying, look, Beneath Dynamics 365, you've got separated out applications, but you can also have what is currently called Dynamics 365 Tenerife. It won't be called that when it's launched. And that is an entire system. So in Nav, we already have CRM, marketing, sales, service, finance, operations, and talent. Okay? I'll admit the talent element of Nav is a little weak, but we do have it nonetheless. So basically, Dynamics 365 Tenerife, complete business management suite, and it's all what is currently called Nav today. That's the new name it will be. So, all-in-one business application, highly tailorable, configurable, and interfaceable, as we already know today. You can have it on-premise, you can have it in the clouds. It's just Dynamics 365 Tenerife. It's just Nav, okay? I'm sure if you ask Klaus, can you explain? What will you say, Klaus? Just Nav? That would be it. It's the easiest way to look at it, okay? Now, I took a punt here. I said, I reckon they'll call it, when it comes out, it's not going to be called Tenerife, that's a code name. I think they'll call it the Business Management Suite. Dynamics 365 Business Management Suite. Klaus, what did you say you thought it might be called? Are you allowed to say that? Go on. There's a few names on the table. Personally, when we were at a conference recently, somebody suggested, why don't you just call it Navision? And we all put our hands up. So wouldn't that be great? We'd all be very happy with that. Now, this slide is just to prove it's really hard to have a naming convention that spans the decades. You know, you have to have a different name all the time, every time you release a new product, quite clearly. Guess what it's called now? Okay, so just putting that in context, today, and now this really, you don't need to pay too much attention to this. Today, there are some names that won't go on for much longer. There's a thing called Financials Business Edition that won't exist in the future. So you forget that current column. Come autumn next year, there will be, come autumn this year, Dynamics 365 and Nav 2018, the version that will be released at the beginning of December, slightly delayed, unusually for Microsoft, and it is unusual because they normally release by the time we've done our user day. In the spring next year, there will be Dynamics 365 Tenerife, this application code, and by that point and going forward, it will be the same thing that you get in the cloud on the Microsoft Dynamics 365 as it is in the Navision, the Nav application, okay? So today, the version that you can get online is slightly different than the Nav version. By that point, they will be exactly the same going forward. There'll be one product, it'll be called Dynamics 365 Business Management Suite or something similar, and it will be the same thing whether you buy it to put on your own servers, in your own cloud, or on the Microsoft cloud, okay? It's the same Nav system. Clear? That's why there's a Q&A this afternoon. So, basically, here are 5 ways that you can put a nav system in the you can have a nav system. You can have your own. You look after it all. You can have your own nav, but put it in the Azure cloud. Come to Andre's session about Azure this afternoon, and we can talk you through that. You can have it hosted by us in our what we call enhanced D365. So it's nav plus a whole bunch of enhancements that many of you already use today. We're also launching an enhanced 365 multi-tenant application where you're in a shared environment, and at the end there's the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Azure multi-tenant. The difference from left to right is flexibility. You can do what the hell you like at this end, and you can't do so much at that end, and in between there's stages of grey, okay? Again, come to the Q&A this afternoon and we can explain more about that. Therefore, we ourselves are having a slight branding realignment, but we've only done it 3 times in 20 years. So, we are going to be called, as well as the Nav people, we're not dropping that, but as well as that, we're going to be called the 365 people. Okay? You will see us branding as that, and that is because we already do now Azure, Power BI, Flow, all of those Office 365, we can talk about moving to Office 365 and integrating with it. So we're doing more and more of those things. So we're going to move away from the nav branding as Microsoft move away from it, but we will still be the nav people for everybody who still loves it and calls it nav. Okay, I will have a short break. And all because the lady loves document capture and invoice matching. Well, obviously not just a lady. Could just as easily be a gentleman. It's not really a gender issue at all. And maybe love's not really acceptable in this workplace context. And all because the person responsible for accounts payables very much sees the efficiency benefits of document capture and invoice matching.
Right, let's get this posted. Okay. Start again. Oh my gosh, right, okay. What?
Happiness is a support contract from the nav people.